The state race to a Bitcoin reserve. Texas, Tejas floats another Bitcoin bill. Saylor says at BPI doing stuff highly overrated, and Canadian pensions face pressure to further invest at home given all the tariffs in Canada. This is Proof of Workforce Live. Let's jump right into this new Bitcoin bill in Texas. We'll pull that up. We've had a chance to take a brief look at that. So, HB number 4258, relating to authority of the Comptroller of Public Accounts and certain political subdivisions of the state to invest certain money in cryptocurrencies. This does go on to define Bitcoin, saying it is a type of decentralized cryptocurrency created by a peer-to-peer network that operates independently of any central authority or bank. It says the comptroller may invest not more than $250 million of the Economic Stabilization Fund balance in Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency. It also goes on to say that a municipality or county may invest not more than $10 million of its funds under its control in Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency. This is getting pushed out as comptroller can buy $250 million of Bitcoin. To me, it appears as a bill that was floated to create a cap and prevent a maximum of funds in going into Bitcoin. Unsure. We'll have to dig more into this. But either way, it's another bill simply defining what the caps are. I know that came up during the hearings. Possibly there's some disagreement on, what's in the current bill. So we will see what happens. But again, all eyes on Tejas as being the first state. We told you yesterday, Utah, they axed their Bitcoin reserve and they just have a digital asset and blockchain bill. So Texas, all eyes on Texas. So that is from Texas. Real quick, what is a comptroller anyways? For those at home curious, like what the comptroller does. The comptroller is like the main accountant of the state treasury fund. And so tax collector, chief accountant, chief revenue estimator, and chief treasurer for all of state government. They administer a ton of programs, often administer pension funds and things like that, revenue estimating. And so they do manage the treasury. They do handle purchasing and much more. So learn about what the comptroller does. But again, bill out of Texas, we shall see how that gets discussed and what the intent is in bringing that forward. Moving on, producer Jacob has some live updates for us from the BPI Bitcoin America policy meeting that is happening right now, or maybe just wrapped or is on a break out in Washington, D.C. Jacob, make it rain some clips from BPI.
Why it is a strategic asset, why it is freedom money, why it brings other countries into a system that allows individual freedom as well as freedom from governments that have hyperinflation or corruption. I mean, this asset is a game changer for the whole world. So for America, the leader in financial innovation, to have sat on the sidelines for as long as we have is unusual for us. And that's why I'm so proud of President Trump and his team for taking us off the sidelines and putting us in the arena of global policy making and making sure the innovations that happen here. And he has pledged that he wants America to be the place that is the repository of the knowledge base, the mining, the entire gamut of financial services associated with Bitcoin. And he realizes that a strategic asset that has the durability, the quality, the completely 100% decentralized nature of a scarce asset like Bitcoin is absolutely unique in the world in the 21st century. And the talent to harness those capabilities, those qualities of Bitcoin, and make them available throughout the world, and here in the United States as well, to people who are either unbanked or underbanked, And in the scary case of choke point 2.0, debanked Americans. I mean, who could have ever thought that could happen in this country? That banks would take customers off their balance sheets because they're afraid of the business you're innovating? That's about the most un-American thing I can imagine. Hopefully those days are over, and we're doing everything we can to make sure they are. That's un-American. We're not going back.
Okay, so Senator from Wyoming, Cynthia Lummis, putting out some definite Bitcoin signal at the Policy Institute. You know that there's a bunch of policymakers, potential elected officials, industry folks. Very interesting clip. My takeaway, I love that Cynthia Lummis hits on the things surrounding Bitcoin, not just the asset itself. I was reading historically the other day about the impacts of the 1849 gold rush on California. Those are undeniable, right? It boosted the population of California basically overnight, launching the territory into statehood for in just 1 year. And so I think what Cynthia Lummis hits on is very important. Um, you know, we are getting off the sidelines as a country. She mentioned that it's not usual for us to sit on the sidelines so long, but again, Bitcoin has been around in the big picture a short amount of time. But my God, how far it has come in that short, 16-year period. So again, there's going to be a lot of things and benefits around Bitcoin. Industry is just one example. Different developers and building and talent coming to the country. So good to see that being discussed there. Next clip, Jacob.
Well, Senator Lummis has given us a clear guideline with the Bitcoin Act in Nashville in July. And what the Bitcoin Act said, it said, let's acquire 1 million Bitcoin over a 5-year period in a programmatic, disciplined fashion, transparent to all. And so let's consider the consequences of this strategy. Well, first of all, last week, the president signed the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act or order. If we hold that 200,000 Bitcoin for the next 20 years, even though you see a flat line on the screen, the flat line is worth $3 trillion. So that's the value of doing nothing. Sometimes people think that you have to do something to make money. Sometimes the absence of doing awful and stupid things is making money. Doing stuff is highly overrated if the stuff is trading or selling your Bitcoin. The Lummis bill would acquire a million Bitcoin or 1.2 million Bitcoin. If you look at the consequences of that over the time frame, it's worth $16 trillion. President Trump has laid out a guideline. We should be the superpower. If you want a superpower strategy, here's a superpower strategy. Acquire Bitcoin consistently. By the way, over what time frame? Consistently daily between now and the 0.99. 0.99 is January of the year 2035, the point at which 99% of the Bitcoin supply has been mined. The asset becomes effectively capped for all practical purposes because the last 1% comes out over 100 years. 0.99 between now and then you've got 10 years for the digital gold rush. You should get your Bitcoin before there's no more Bitcoin for you. And you can see here, in this strategy, we acquire it consistently, and then we use surpluses from the U.S. government to continue to save in Bitcoin. It's worth $106 trillion.
Okay, so Saylor laying out his case for Bitcoin. He says you should get some before there's no more Bitcoin for you. Tons of just pointed remarks from Saylor. One of my favorite, if we can play, was the comment about doing nothing. And Jacob, if we can get that, it was in that clip, but we have a more condensed clip, which I think will be a soundbite that will do well over the next year.
Sometimes people think that you have to do something to make money. Sometimes the absence of doing awful and stupid things is making money. Doing stuff is highly overrated if the stuff is trading or selling your Bitcoin.
I love it. Don't trade Bitcoin. Again, these are some old investment principles. You don't move out of a winning asset to go into a losing asset. They compare dead investors to live living investors all the time, and the dead investors often outperform. What's another comparison? Cooking a steak. The people that move the steak too much and they're very fidgety on the grill and they don't get a good thorough cook through. That's another example. Just set it and forget it. Learn about Bitcoin. Regardless of what you think about Saylor's price predictions, the scarcity aspect is real. So Bitcoin will be scarce. If you think that Bitcoin will be here in the next 10, 20, 30, 50 years and continue its trajectory of continuous adoption, right? Then you should just buy and hold Bitcoin. And if you consider moving out of Bitcoin, it should only be to move into an asset of equal or better performance. The problem is very tough to find when you look at the overall performance of Bitcoin, which again is tied very closely to its resilience and its brand identity. Bitcoin is becoming more known throughout the world as a brand of resilience and continuous value gain. No matter how much Peter Schiff tries to tweet out that Bitcoin's down in a given month or twist metrics, the long-term value gain is undeniable. So cool stuff out of BPI. Very cool for everyone that's there. I know Maulers is there talking, and there's a bunch of other folks from the industry. So very cool. Real quick proof of workforce update. Again, yesterday we had some breaking news that Sunnyvale Public Safety Officers Association was the first dual agency association to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Again, Sunnyvale is police and fire. I think we have the tweet right here that went out yesterday, just as a reminder, or we may not have the tweet, but either way, Sunnyvale PSOA was the first union dual agency association. They're the 7th union in the country and 4th in California. So it's good to see some of the labor groups in California figuring out this whole Bitcoin scarcity. There it is. Jacob, my man, my dog, Jacob. I thought you were asleep. And we got the dual, we got Dubs post here side by side. So there was the post yesterday. Sunnyvale Public Safety Officers adopts proof of workforce get off zero initiative. First police fire dual agency association in the U.S. Stay tuned for more updates this week. We're going to have more, and we do have another union coming to the table and some interesting news. Just stay tuned. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, and we'll have some very cool news tomorrow and Thursday. Pensions. One thing I saw interesting going around, I saw a headline today that said, let's see, Buy Canada, pressure builds on 1.6 trillion in pension cash. Basically, the premier said that patriotism he feels is at an all-time high in Canada. There's a lot of pressure in Canada for something called the Maple 8. That's the country's biggest pensions that oversee 1.6 trillion US dollars or 2.3 trillion Canadian dollars, about a quarter of which is invested in Canada. There's a lot of pressure to shift funds within the country. And this Invest in Canada movement is in response to the tariffs and the ability to sustain the economy. A lot of stuff way over our head happening there. My thing from a pension participant is, okay, that's great. There's pressure on Canadian pensions to invest at home. But again, is it through the lens? Is it the most profitable thing, or where's the profits there? Always interesting to look at. A pension can become involved very politically in different things. We've seen that in the energy transition. We've seen that right now with the tariffs. And the big question is, if they're going to shift pension investments, once again, back to the investing, going back to Saylor's clip, are they moving from a asset of equal or greater returns? If not, it's a heavy price to pay, because if that doesn't work out well, the people who will be footing the bill will be your workers, your pension participants, your retirees, either through having their retirements pushed back or having to contribute more. And then your municipalities and your stakeholders that also fund those pensions will have to foot that bill. So it's very, the passions run high at the moment to shift a strategy of a pension. But again, the question always has to be asked for anything that is moved. Are we moving from an investment to another investment of equal or greater return? If not, you really have to judge what the value is in the action and how it's going to impact the pension. So that's interesting take there. Self-custody. Let's go into our self-custody rules to live by. This week's self-custody rule, which actually it's like this days, we're doing one a day. It's brought to you by LaRocca's Corner, one of San Francisco's oldest neighborhood bars, a great place to go drink and lose your Bitcoin with a Bitcoin-friendly bartender and maybe kind of friendly patrons. Again, I don't recommend drinking. It's not too healthy. I haven't had a drink in over a year. And so, that's one of the cool, if you drop drinking for 3 months, I promise you may not go back. But the self-custody tip of the day is consider placing your seed phrase on something more durable than paper. They have plates, all kinds of different things that you can use to store your seed phrase. And you're buying Bitcoin to stand the test of time. So your seed phrase should stand the test of time as well. Also, in our self-custody corner at LaRocca's Corner, a solo bid axe hit a block. Unbelievable. Look, I mean, not like I have FOMO, but we're running the bid axe. See that? You hear that noise? I'm just saying, like, you never know. You don't know until you go. Again, for those thinking about using a bid axe at home, you are playing a lottery. But that lottery is also doing some cool things. And if you're running your own node, potentially, you are also supporting the decentralization of mining and the network. And so, depending on what pool you're contributing that hash to, there is a cool aspect of just mining. Again, the chance of you hitting a block is extremely unlikely. I think that bid axe I just showed, there's like a 1 in 15,000 year chance to hit a block, but you never know. I'm just saying, like, you don't know. So very cool. Thanks for tuning in to Proof of Workforce Live. I'm Dom Bay. We are clocking out for the day. Stay humble, stack sats. Remember that Saylor said that doing stuff is highly overrated. Don't apply that to like taking out the trash and cleaning up your place and doing like errands and things. I think what he's talking about more is doing stuff is overrated if that stuff is trading or selling your Bitcoin. We do have a downtrend right now in the market. Prices are down, not just in Bitcoin, but all throughout the economy. This is the time to stay calm and Bitcoin on and just learn. Take it as a learning period. Be responsible. Do your own research and don't buy into the hype. That goes for both the price hype on the up and the price FOMO or FUD, on the downtrend. So again, have a great day. If you are going to trade your time for money, no matter what you do, make sure that that money holds up over time. I'm Don Bay, Proof of Workforce. Thanks for tuning in. Tomorrow and Thursday, big updates. So please subscribe, please tune in, and we'll have some more stuff for you then. Later.